After being closed for a full year, we have a lot of news coming out of Disneyland, from targeting a late April reopening and how Disneyland is going to be a bit different when they reopen when it comes to Fastpass, MaxPass, and early entry, and also why we have a lot of hope that there's going to continue to be good news coming from the state for the theme park industry. We're going to talk about all of that in today's video. Hey there, my name is Eric D, and on this channel my hope is always to make your next Disney adventure a little bit more magical with tips and tricks, food reviews, and news. So if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. But can you believe that today marks a full year that Disneyland has been closed? And while this closure has gone on much longer than that original 18 days Disneyland had said they would be closed, and I think much longer than any of us could imagine, it's nice to finally have some positive news coming out of the Disneyland Resort and also the state of California. One of the biggest questions, of course, is when will the parks reopen? This week, during the annual shareholders meeting, Bob Chapek made this official statement.
Here in California, we're encouraged by the positive trends we're seeing, and we're hopeful they'll continue to improve and we'll be able to reopen our parks to guests with limited capacity by late April. We look forward to publicizing an opening date in the coming weeks. While last week's announcement stated that theme parks may open starting on April 1st, the fact is it will take some time to get them ready for our guests. This includes recalling more than 10,000 furloughed cast and retraining them to be able to operate according to the state of California's new requirements. I am pleased to say that the response has been great thus far. Our cast members are excited to get back to work. And this is also good news for the Anaheim community, which depends on Disneyland for jobs and business generated by visitors.
Other California parks also made announcements this week, like Knott's Berry Farm said they plan to reopen in May, and Universal Studios extend their food event into mid-April. So why would these parks that have been begging to reopen since last summer now seemingly be dragging their feet when the state said they can open on April 1st? Of course, part of it is, like Bob Chapek said, that it does take time to call those cast members back and train them again, because they do have to not only train them to the new COVID standards, but also because it's been a year, they have to have everyone who's operating attractions go through those trainings again. So that is one part of it. But the other part is that if they were to reopen right at April 1st, most of the counties are currently in red, and the red tier means that they can only open with 15% capacity. And at 15% capacity, we know from past updates that the parks have said they can't really make a profit until they hit about 25% capacity. So in late April is likely when they will hit into the orange tier if things continue to improve, and that is when they can have that 25% capacity. So I think that's also a big driver of why they're kind of holding off a little bit. Of course, there's plenty of training that needs to happen. Of course, they need to call people back in, but also they need to get to a point where they can also not be losing money by reopening. Orange County can officially move from the purple tier into the less restrictive red tier on Sunday, March 14th. Because the state reached the initial goal of 2 million vaccines administered to individuals living in the lowest healthy places index quartile. This is great news for Orange County because businesses like movie theaters and gyms can reopen at a reduced capacity. Plus, indoor dining can also be allowed to resume with 25% capacity or 100 people, whichever is fewer. So that is also great news for the restaurants in downtown Disney. As the case numbers continue to fall, the next state goal that will benefit the parks is when 4 million doses of vaccine have been administered to persons living in the vaccine equity quartile. When that happens, the blueprint for a safer economy will be updated again, and the orange tier case rate range will shift up to 2 to 5.9 cases per 100,000. The yellow tier case rate range will shift to less than 2 per 100,000, which will really be a big deal. And keep in mind, none of this is happening in a vacuum. Governor Newsom, who is getting closer and closer to the possibility of a recall ending up on the ballot this fall, is making a large push sharing the good news related to the falling numbers and increased vaccine availability, letting us know almost daily that things are looking better and better and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel as it gets brighter and brighter. He even recently shared an article that used California Adventure as its leading image. To help put this into context, an article in the Los Angeles Times recently said, organizers of the recall effort said this week they have collected more than 2 million signatures on petitions to force a vote later this year. If the campaign's results hold steady from last month, when state officials reported that almost 84% of the initial signatures were valid, there would be more than enough certified petitions to trigger an election. End quote. So I bring up this recall effort not as sour grapes that the governor didn't allow the parks to reopen earlier, but showing that the governor has plenty of motivation to help get things back to normal in California. So I think we will see him be more and more willing and excited to make changes to the current policies as numbers continue to improve. And once a lot of the counties start to get into the yellow tier, it will be interesting to see what happens next, because I don't think restaurants and businesses will want to stay at 50% capacity forever when the case numbers are so low. So I'm wondering if the blueprint for a safer economy will either dramatically change or be retired as we know it. Disneyland also posted some information this week that we all have pretty much guessed, but it was information about how the parks are going to be a little bit different when they first reopen. On their website they said, as a result of the impact of COVID-19 on operations, Fastpass and Disney MaxPack services are suspended for the time being and are not available for purchase or use. We will share future updates at a later date. Magic Morning and Extra Magic Hour offerings will be suspended upon reopening of our hotels and theme parks as we plan to manage capacity. We will share any updates on these offerings at a later date. Additionally, select attractions and certain experiences that draw large group gatherings, such as parades and nighttime spectaculars, will return at a later date, while character meet and greets will be temporarily unavailable. Characters will be in our parks in new ways to entertain and delight our guests. The Disneyland Resort will also have capacity measures in place, as well as limitations on parking and operating hours. Given this unprecedented situation, we appreciate everyone's patience and understanding as we navigate through this process as responsibly as we can. Additional measures and procedures will be announced closer to the opening date. Disneyland also posted this thank you image on their Instagram account. I think kind of a way of saying thank you for the past year of sticking with us. So none of those announcements are really surprises to us because we saw the same thing happen in Walt Disney World and some of the other parks around the world. But it will be interesting to see how long those changes stay in place because we continue to see more and more positive changes across the globe as the vaccine rolls out. So I would love to know in the comments below, do you think this is something that will last through all of 2021, or do you think maybe end of summer, midsummer, fall? When do you think these changes will start to go away and we will start to get back to more of a normal situation at the Disneyland Resort? I would love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully we'll continue to have more good news soon. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and we'll see y'all again real soon. Bye.